When I bring this raw kale salad to a party, everyone wants the recipe. I'm Christy Wilhelmi from Gardenerd, and today I'm going to show you how to make it. It's the end of kale season for me because we here at Gardenerd headquarters grow our kale over winter. And right about now, it's time to get the space back to grow bigger summer crops. But you may be just starting on your kale journey, depending on where you live. And this recipe is great at the beginning or the end of the season, no matter what. This is the Esalen Raw Kale Salad recipe, which is from the Esalen Institute up in Big Sur in California. I've eaten there many times. It's beautiful. They've changed their recipe over the years. I am doing a variation on that recipe, so let's get started with the ingredients as you will need them. Let's start with the dressing. First, olive oil, Bragg's, and lemon juice. Now, the Bragg's aminos is kind of a specialty product, and you can use tamari or soy sauce or a different kind of aminos like coconut aminos, but I can tell you it's not going to be as good. It just isn't. Bragg's is just the thing that makes this recipe so good. So you're going to be using equal parts of these three ingredients. The recipe calls for 1/3 cup. I find that to be too much dressing, so I use a scant 1/4 cup. This recipe also has seeds that get thrown in on the top and mixed in at the end. I start with a 1/4 cup of raw sunflower and raw pumpkin seeds. The recipe also calls for sesame seeds in equal amounts. I am sensitive to those, so I don't use them, but sometimes I throw pine nuts in, and that makes it really, really good. Before we start assembling the salad, you're going to take an 8-inch pan, dry, and pour in your seeds and toast them on the stovetop until they're a little bit golden brown. And while those are toasting, you can do your lemon juice. So I feel like you don't need a juicer if you have a fork and a sieve. So you take your fork, stick it in there, and squeeze. Depending on what kind of lemon you have and the size, you may only need 1 lemon. Some you may need 2 in order to make a 1/4 cup. There you go. It is beautiful. Mix those 3 ingredients into your bowl and stir it to combine. Then you're going to add onions. Now, the recipe calls for 1/2 of a red onion cut into 1/2 moon slices. But I find myself picking those out, and I decided to go for green onion tops to make it a low FODMAP alternative. And I don't end up picking these out at all. If you soak your onions while you're cutting your kale, then they'll break down just enough that when it's time to add the kale, you'll be ready to go. Next, it's time to talk about your kale. Why do we soak kale before we use it? Well, it's mostly to clean off all this debris that is kind of clinging in between the nooks and crannies of the leaves. If you're using store-bought kale, you probably can skip this step. And the thing that makes this salad so good is mixing up the different varieties. If you're not a big fan of curly kale, try lacinato or that type of kale. Or my favorite, a Siberian type kale, which is a looser leaf and isn't as chewy and tough as some of its counterparts. We're also throwing in some Troncuda beira, which is technically a collard green, but it is tender like a kale. You're going to take the stems off of these and chop them up into 1-inch pieces, and then we add them to the dressing. And I just want to say, I know that there are silly little products out there that help you de-stem your kale. You can use a knife to cut out the tough stems, or you just take these 2 fingers, wrap them around the kale, and pull, and that's it. So you're going to de-stem all of your kale really quickly, like this. Even if you're buying store-bought kale, you want to start with about 2 bunches of kale. You can raise or lower the amount depending on how much you want to make. I like to do a big batch, and it gets more tender in the refrigerator as time passes, so that is always a good idea. So first, cutting in about 1-inch segments along here, and then crosswise. And you may have to do this in batches, which is what I will have to do. Now, let's add that kale. We're dumping this in. I like to chop up enough to fill the bowl as much as possible. This is not quite enough. Bring it all the way to the top edge if you can. And it's beautiful just looking at it all by its little self there. Now it's time to add our seeds over the top that have been toasted. The most important part is to massage all of this now together. So I like to grab it from the outside and turn it in to rotate everything through the dressing like this, just to coat it first. And then once it is coated, you actually want to grab onto it and squeeze and massage all of that in. You're breaking down the kale, and that softens it over time. I had a friend who I taught how to do this, and she said it's never as good as when you make it. And I explained 2 important facts to her. 1, you've got to massage the dressing into the kale to help break it down. And number 2 is you have to let it sit for at least 30 minutes, preferably 1 hour, before you eat it, because that gives enough time for the lemon juice to break down the kale, which makes it more digestible for us. Any leftovers can go in the fridge and it gets more tender as the days go on, but I don't think this will even last more than a couple days in any household. For more information about growing your own kale or any of the fabulous varieties that we talked about in this video, go to gardenerd.com. You can also find information and other recipes like this in my book, High Yield Small Space Organic Gardening. Check out my books, my online courses, and consider becoming a Patreon subscriber to support all the free stuff we do here at Gardenerd. Because Patreon supporters get access to behind-the-scenes goodies like monthly hangouts with me and expedited answers to your burning gardening questions. Happy gardening!